Hello and welcome to Friday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic. And today we have a really cool and unusual looking Sudoku which hails all the way from China. Now, I did do a Google Translate on the author's name to try and pronounce it, and it might be Makoto. But if anyone can let me know the correct English transliteration, because Makoto sounds a bit Japanese to me, I'd be grateful, just so I can update the puzzle description and make sure that it's labelled properly. But this Sudoku has a 100% rating at the moment on Logic Masters Germany, and that is not an easy thing to come by. And I'm very interested in the rule set as well. So anyway, I'll read those out in just a second. A quick reminder before we get started. In fact, two things I'll mention. The first is that for patrons of the channel over on Patreon, we have a new puzzle hunt ready to release. Now, we're going to release that in a couple of Fridays' time, so 2 weeks today, in fact, unless we hit 3,333 patrons in the meantime, in which case we'll immediately release it then and there, and we're about 70 short at the moment, so there was a bit of a surge yesterday. I think we could get there over the weekend, so if you fancy accessing that puzzle hunt before the MIT mystery hunt comes out next week, then definitely consider becoming a patron of the channel. That'd be a good idea. And in fact, what I'm also planning to do, let me just mention this. I have had a few emails asking me about a Yajilin puzzle that has appeared on our Discord server. Let me find it. Hang on. It's this one. This puzzle, which is by the Miracle Sudoku creator Mitchell Lee, and it's a Yajilin puzzle, so I don't know if you've ever seen Yajilin before. Obviously many of you have, but basically the idea is you have to draw a loop in the grid, and these clues point to the number of black cells. So there could be a black cell there, for example. There could be, I don't know, a black cell there, but there can only be one black cell in this line because of the one here. There can only be one black cell below the arrow there. Now, this puzzle is an extremely unusual Yajilin, as you can probably see by looking at it. Most Yajilins do not have this structure, but I do think I probably know how to solve this. So I'll do a quick video over on Patreon for anyone who's interested, just explaining the logic. It's very, very clever, but you wouldn't expect anything less from Mr. Mitchell Lee. Right, now, where's the puzzle we're actually doing today? Where are my rules for the puzzle we're doing today? They are here. Let me read them to you. Now, pay attention. These are unusual. Normal Sudoku rules apply, i.e. each row, column and region must contain the digits 1 to 6 once each. Region shapes have to be deduced. So this is effectively what we're going to have to do in the grid here, is we're going to have to create an irregular Sudoku. The sum, now this is the bit that's weird, the sum of the digits on both sides of each region border is listed outside the grid in the correct order. A white circle indicates that the surrounding 4 cells belong to the same region. All possible outside clues have been given, with a question mark representing any positive integer. Not all white circles are given, okay, and thankfully there is an example. Let me show you that. Here we go. Let me make sure it's in the region that's being recorded on my screen. So this is an example not of a 1 to 6 irregular, but a 1 to 5 irregular, but I'm hoping this will allow us to get to grips with what's going on. So you can see that around the white circle here, all 4 cells are in the same region. Didn't know I could draw in blue in the snipping tool. That's quite clever. And let's look at the 6-4 clue in column 3 here and see how it works. So if we go down the grid, you can see the first place that there's a border division is here, just along here. And the cells either side of the border division sum to 6, 2 plus 4. And that's why the top clue here is a 6. The second border division divides a 1 and a 3, so 4, and that's why the second clue here is a 4. Now, I have not seen anything like this before. This looks absolutely fascinating, doesn't it? That's interesting. So also, look, there's a couple of columns and rows that just have one clue because they've just got one border. So if I was doing this puzzle, I'd definitely start there. Anyway, that's how it works, and you can see each region has to contain the digits 1 to 5, and basically the whole structure is a Latin square, as usual with a Sudoku. So let's get rid of the example and have a look at the real puzzle here. And do have a go at this. The way to play, of course, is to click the link under the video. Slightly unusual looking Sudoku today, but no harm in that. Let's get cracking. Now, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to colour these in. So these have all got to be part of the same region. Those have all got to be part of the same region. Obviously, these regions can't connect because each region is only of size 6. A 10 down the right-hand side. Right, so that's telling us that there's a single border division down this column. So in other words, when we finish the grid, this column will only contain 2 colours. That's a good way of thinking about it. Now, is that enough for us to make progress? I'm not sure. It might be, but I'm not sure I understand that. We've got the same in row 1. Look, we've just got a question mark clue. Okay, it's more useful actually in row 1, bizarrely, than it is in row 10. Oh, sorry, column 6 with the 10 clue. Yeah, it is, because it's already clever, this puzzle. It's already clever because we can ask questions like, what's this cell? Is this cell purple? Well, the answer is obviously no, it's not purple, because if it was purple, all of these squares would have to be purple. Well, how do you get to this square is really the key. How do you get to this square, given that we know there's only 2 different colours used in this row? Well, if this is purple, these would have to be purple, and that would give us a 7-cell region, which is impossible. So this is not purple, and actually I'm just seeing now it's also not blue, because we'd have exactly the same problem in column 1. So this is a new colour. I think that's what we're meant to deduce from that. I'll make it red. Yeah, this is lovely actually. This is lovely. So now we can ask questions about this cell at the top of column 6, because if we know, and we do know this, that row 1 has only 2 colours because there is exactly 1 border somewhere along row 1. We don't know where it is, but we know that 1 border must divide the row into 2 colours only. If there were 2 borders, that would require there to be 3 regions, unless one region sort of went round another region, but that's impossible when this is this big. So if this is red, you can see that the size of the red region would be far too large. So that's purple. Oh, this is really important. So now that backfires into the 10 clue, because the 10 clue now is telling us there is exactly 1 border in this column. So what colour is this cell? This cell can't be purple, because if it's purple, that's 6 purple. We're only looking for 6 purples. This would have to be a different colour, and it would be a 1-cell region. So this is a new colour, and therefore the rest of the column is that colour. We will make that colour green. This cell, though, that could be purple, I think, and it could be green. Now that cell, now we can just reverse the logic again. Look along row 1. What colour is this cell? This can't be purple anymore, although purple will be a minimum of 7 cells, so that must be red. Good grief. Okay. Now, so we know there's either a border here or there's a border here. And we know that the border must be a 4-6 pair, because that's the only way of adding to 10, given we can only use the digits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Okay, so if the border is here or here, either this domino sums to 10 or this domino sums to 10, this square is a 4 or a 6. Now, that's interesting. So we could, if this was a 4. No, hang on. This is important. This is rather beautiful, actually. The question to ask is, can this square be a 6? And the answer is no, it can't be a 6. Because if it's a 6, this domino here cannot represent a cell border because of the 5 clue. Obviously 6 plus anything is more than 5. So if this is 6, all of this is one colour, which means that we have to fit our 3 borders, 1, 2, 3, across this domino, and this domino. Well, how can I make these 2 squares add up to 5 and these 2 squares add up to 5 without repeating a digit? It's impossible. If I make these 2 squares 1, 4, for example, this square, in order for this to add up to 5 as well, will also have to be 1, 4. There's no way I can switch to a different sort of parity on the 5. I can't switch to the 2, 3 I'm going to need to use. So that just won't work. It just won't work. This square has to be a 4. And this is really clever. This is just really clever, because now we know, if in effect, the 2 ways to add up to 5 across a border. Given that each sum is a 2-digit sum, we're looking at 4, 1 and 2, 3. So once we know this is a 4, we know this must be a 1. We know this is a border. So what colour is this square? It must be green. So now I know there's no border there. There could be a border here. There could be a border here. So I've now got 3 possible spaces for a border, either this vertical line, or this vertical line. And I've got 2 clues. Which means that this 5 border, this sort of middle 5 border here, is either a border between that domino or a border between that domino. Well, either way, the central square is a 2 or a 3. That's a 6, obviously. Sorry, that's just me catching up with my brain. I've got to make sure that border works. That clue is effectively done now. I could almost black it out, but I probably won't, on the basis I haven't ground to a halt yet and need to fill time by blacking in cells. Okay. Something I've just noticed is that by Sudoku, the green cell in column 5, wherever the green cell lives, it must be a 6, because the green region needs a 6 and it hasn't got one yet, and it can't get one in column 6. Let's have a look at this row. This row's got the most clues. So we've got 8, question mark, 5, 8. And interestingly, that adds up to more. Oh, it actually adds up to exactly 21. Because I was thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 add up to 21. I thought that was going to add up to more than 21, but it doesn't, in fact. But that doesn't necessarily mean that each of these clues is pointing at a different. Well, in fact, it definitely doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean each of these clues is mutually independent. Because if, for example, you look at those 3 squares and you had 2 borders, this cell would count twice in the sums that you included on the left-hand side. Right, okay. I don't think that was. I mean, that's true what I just said, but it does mean I don't think we can do anything just using the sum of these as 21. But we've got 2 8s in the row. And there's only 2 ways of making 8, given the digits we have available. We've got 2, 6 and 3, 5. Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, that's beautiful as well. 2, 6 and 3, 5 have to sort of sit, on opposite sides of this row somewhere. I don't know where they are, but they're not close to each other. Now let's think about this 5 clue then. 5 is either 2 plus 3 or 1 plus 4. But we know that the 8 clues between them use the 2 and the 3. So this 5 clue cannot be a 2-3 pair. Because if it is, if, for example, how would this work? If we try and make this, let's try and make those two squares add up to 8. So we'll put a 6 here and a 2 here. And then we try and use the 3 here to make this 5 border work. So that all looks like it's working until you get to this side of the grid and you have to make these two squares add up to 8 and you don't have 2, 6 or 3, 5 available. That's just not going to work. There has to be, remember this question mark represents a real border sitting between the 8 and this 5. So you can't do this. It doesn't work. This 5 is a 1-4 pair. And that means we know the approximate structure of this row, don't we? Because where can a 1-4 pair live in row 4 of this grid? Given that we know that 8s are made up of 2, 3 and 5, 6, none of those are a 1-4, so the 1-4 must sit in the middle. That can't be a 6, that can't be a 2. Which means that this is a border. This is not. Interestingly, then there's no border between these two squares. So these squares are a new colour. That's nice. Let's make them orange. These squares are a new colour because we know that they are not green. We know this square is not green, and we know this square is the same colour as this square. So they can't be green because that would make green 7. They can't be purple. That would make the purple at least 8. They can't be blue. That would have to be at least 8. And they can't be red. They're just too far away. 3, 4, 5. You can see that would also have to be an 8-cell region. So this is orange. Then this is a different colour again. But that could be blue. Oh, good grief. That could be blue. And then this is a different colour because this boundary represents this question mark. And then these two are different colour as well because the 8 needs separation. Oh, good grief. Okay. I'm not sure whether we can do anything with that, can we? Is there a way I can disambiguate this row? Is there a way... The easiest way of doing that looks to be to get rid of a 2 in this square. How do you get rid of a 2 in this square? Yes, you can! You can do it! You can get rid of a 2 in this square. It can't be 2. Because if it's 2, this is 6. That means orange has a 6 in it in column 5. But we know green has to have a 6 in column 5. Because green hasn't got a 6 in it yet. And now it couldn't have one. So actually you can work this out. This is not 6. This is not 2. This is a 3-5 pair. This is not a 3-5 pair. What a puzzle this is. Right, now. All 3 of these are different to orange. So we've now actually, look, I've now got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 5 different coloured regions. These 3 cells, therefore, they could... Well, a maximum of 1 of these is a new region. Because there can only be 6 regions in the puzzle. Aha! 3 in column 3. How is this border going to be made up? Well, it's going to have to be a 1 and a 2. And this border has to be down at the bottom somewhere. So this square can't possibly be a 2. Because if this is a 2, the furthest down the grid I could put this 3 border would be here. And now I've got to fit 2 borders, a 9 and an 8 border above this border here. And there's only 1 border left in the grid. So this There's a 1 and a 2 somewhere down this column, which means this square is a 3. And the 3 must be bounded by a 2 on one side. So this square must be a 5 or a 6. Never done anything quite like this before. In fact, when I first opened the puzzle, when Mark sent it to me, I thought it was a Japanese sums puzzle. And it's most certainly not. It's got some similarities, but... So now in this column, I have to put in... I've got to put in boundaries 8 and 9. So if this was... Oh, I see. Actually, yeah, okay, this is very restricted. I think I missed some of the subtleties here because I'm not used to dealing with 1 to 6, but how do we make an 8 sum and a 9 sum with the digits that are available? A 9 sum can only be 3, 6 or 4, 5. And then an 8 sum can only be 2, 6 or 3, 5. But look, there's no way that the 8 sum is 2, 6, because I can't put 2, 6 in the first 4 cells of the column. So I could put a 2, 6 boundary here, but then there's no room for the 9 and the 3 boundary. So the 8 boundary is definitely a 3, 5 boundary, which means the 5 is definitely in one of those squares in the column. Now if it's here, the interesting thing about that is it takes away the ability of the 9 boundary to be a 5, 4 boundary. The 9 boundary would have to be a 6, 3 boundary and would have to put a 6 here. So if this is 5, this is 6. I'm just staring at that in the hope that there's a reason that isn't true. If this is 5, this is 6, and these are 1, 2 and 4. I can't see why that's wrong. So this... Right, okay, but if this is not 5, then the 5 would be here. Oh, and then that would be 4. Let's look at that. So if this is 3, 3, 6 is therefore not available for the 9 boundary. It would have to be a 5, 4 boundary, but it can be. Is there anything wrong with this? There could be, and I'm just not spotting it. If you don't mind, I'm just going to spend a moment just staring at this, just thinking about it, to try and understand whether there is a restriction. So 5, 3, 6. So this square here is definitely a 5 or a 6. If... no, this is the problem. There is a problem with this one. Oh, thank goodness. Right, okay, well, no, we can just look at it. If this is the arrangement, 3, 5, 4, to deal with the 8, 9 boundaries, how is the 3 boundary dealt with? Well, that would have to be a 1, 2 at the bottom of the grid. You can't put a 1, 2 at the bottom of the grid because now, in column 3, I've got to put a 6 in row 1, and the 6 will clash. This does not work, and that is a relief because that means we know now where the 5 goes. The 5 goes here. This is now a 6 to make the 9 boundary. We still don't know where the 1 and 2 boundary go now. We know this square is a 1 or a 2. And we know each of these is now different colours. I feel this must be important. Five, 6. I'm wondering whether we can use the fact that these two squares could see each other. 2, 3. Oh, yeah. Oh, hang on. We know the colour of this square. We know the colour of this square because this square is in a column with 1 clue. So if this square was blue, the whole column would have to be blue because it can only be a 2-coloured column, And this blue most certainly has 7 cells. So that square there is red. So it is in a group with this one if this is red. That would give us... So if this is not red... Oh, if it's not red, it has to be purple because we've only got 2 colours in row 1. So if this is purple... No, this is... It's really clever. This puzzle is really clever. It's so intricate. Remember that this 8 boundary, these 2 squares are different colours. These 2 here. And the 9 boundary is telling us these 2 squares are different colours. So if this is purple, we have a massive issue for this square. Because this square is not the same colour as this. So this region has to come out this way. Now, actually, I'm saying there's a problem with it, but maybe there isn't. I need 4 colours in this row, and I can get 4 colours if this region can be a new region. No, but I don't think there's enough room. It doesn't... If this can't be grey, I don't see how I can make this region big enough to be 6 cell size and this region also to be 6 cells. They both have to come through this gate, which is impossible. I don't think this works. I don't think this can be purple. I think this is red. Let me just have a look at that again. Eight, 9. Yeah, okay, actually there's another way of seeing this. And it might be simpler. 6 here. This square is in a relationship with this cell because the next boundary is a 3 boundary, and any boundary involving a 6 is not a 3 boundary. So these 2 squares are the same. And that, not only does that cut this gate off actually, but this is important for another reason, which it might even be better. These 2 squares, if these squares are in their own region, could these join to any of the other regions we've already got? They can't. This is gorgeous. This is gorgeous. Look. This grey region here, the question is this the 6th region? Have we discovered the 6th region? So, in order for it not to be the 6th region, we've got to join it to another group. It can't join blue, because any join will create a 7-cell region. We'll come to whether it can be orange or not. It can't join purple, that will create an 8-cell region. It can't join green, that's going to create an enormous region. It can't join red, because the closest we could get would be there, and that's a 7-cell region. So the question is, can it be orange? But it can't be orange because this region here, this boundary, is the 5. So there is a boundary division between this colour and this colour. So this is the 6th region. Now, let's come back here. I think it's going to be more obvious that this 3 is... If this is purple, this 3 now has no option. We know it's not grey because there's a region division. It can't be blue, therefore it has to be red. And now I've only got 3 colours in row 2, and there must be 4 colours because I've got effectively 3 boundaries, and that's not going to work. And what even more than that, how do you create 2 6-cell regions for these the red? If this was another colour, which it can't be, but just humour me for a moment. If this isn't red, you can't possibly get two shapes of the same colour or of the relevant size into this tiny white size region. So all of which goes to say this square is definitely red, therefore this square is definitely 6, therefore now this therefore must be purple, mustn't it? because we know it's not red, we know it's not grey, and it can't reach blue. So that is purple. This puzzle is mad. These two squares, therefore, are 2 and 5. So we've got the 1-4 boundary. This is purple, so this isn't a boundary. So this can't be the 2, this is the 5, this is the 2, this therefore is a boundary, which we could have told anyway because that's a 6-cell region. Is there a boundary? There needs to be 4 colours. Yeah, this can't be red. This boundary here represents the question mark, of course. So this is a new colour, and it can't be blue, so this is grey. Good. This puzzle is stunning. 6. So that joins to there. The 6 sees the 6 and the 2. It's focusing so hard on boundary divisions, I'm not doing Sudoku. This square's a 1, 2, or a 4. The red region now must take those 2 squares. That's the only way it can become size 6. This needs to have 3 colours in it. It will have 3 colours in it. Is this... this can't be grey because grey already has a 6 in, therefore it must be blue. So this is correct. This is correct. I'm not sure if I can do this bit yet. Here's a nice bit of logic. Row 3, can this square be 6? Well, that's not the right question. It's a version of the right question. Can this square be green? Is the first question. The answer is no. It can't be green because green needs a 6, and the 6 is ruled out. So this square is not green. Next question, can it be grey? So if this is grey, obviously these 2 squares would both have to be grey. So that would have to look like this. And now we've broken row 3 of the grid. We need 4 colours. These are 3 region divisions. We've got 1 region division there, second there. That is not, 2 does not equal 3. So this can't be grey. So this can't be green and it can't be grey. So this square is orange. That means grey must poke 1 further down. And that, of course, fixes the 3 clue. Because now, how do we get the 3 clue to work? We know there's no region division here, so the region division must divide these 2 squares, which means these 2 squares add up to 3. This is a 4. The 2 sees the 1, yes. The 4 sees the 1. Still not quite sure. Oh, the blue region has to get out, so that's the last blue cell. We've got 3 different colours in the bottom row. This square has to be orange because nothing else can reach this square. It can't be green. Green only has 1 more cell to take. It can't be grey. Grey only has 1 more cell to take. That's got to be orange. Yeah, okay. So how does this orange connect to its friends up here? Well, it can't connect that way, or the green can't take a 6th cell, so it must connect that way. That forces this to be grey. So one of these 2 squares must be the 6 that the green needs. But we can use... Yes, look. Yeah, lovely. I can use the 7 clues. I've not used those yet. In fact, I can see I can also fill in a 3 here using the 4 clue. This is the last region boundary in this column, so let's do that first. That's a 3. And now let's come back to the 7s. This boundary is the question mark. This boundary needs to add up to 7, so that places this as a 6. That fixes this 6, which must be green to complete the green region. Therefore, that's orange. It's not 6. These 2 squares... they have to add up to 7. It looks like they could be 3, 4 in that order, or 2, 5. There's probably a way of fixing that. Can't see what it is. That's got to be a 5 now. So I've used these clues up, I've used this clue, I've used this clue. Okay, I've used these clues, I've sort of used these clues, and I've used the so it should just be Sudoku now. I think we're at the point it's just Sudoku. Those two squares are a 2-4 pair. 4 must go in the red region here. These two squares are a 1-2 pair. We can fill that in. This 2 fixes the 2 and the 4. This 2-4 fixes the 5 here. That means that's a 2, that's a 5, that's a 3. This is a 3-4 pair. You can see how that's going to figure out. This is a 1-5 pair. We can do that. 3-4, we can do that. And lastly, but not least, we have 1-3 at the top. And that, I think, is the correct solution. Now, don't click check, because check will not work, because the way Mark's built this grid is... what has he done there? A 10 by 10 grid or something? So the computer will try and understand whether all of this stuff in the top contains the digits 1 to 9, which of course it won't. I shall just demonstrate. Yeah, it does. It says it doesn't look right, but I think all the logic seemed to flow. So I think this diagram down here is correct. If it isn't, I will put a card on the screen and I will weep. What a beautiful puzzle that is, though. Very unusual, sort of, build your own Sudoku type style, but just the logic is it's so clever. It's just so clever. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments. Back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.